Hey guys, welcome back to I'm an Actor, Not a Therapist. I'm Sammy. So, what's going on? So, I wanted to, first of all, again, thank you all so much for a fabulous first season. This is our second episode of our second season, and who would have thought that this would happen when I started doing this podcast? So, to the people that know, thank you for lighting the fire under my butt to do this. And for all of you who keep coming back week after week to listen to the girl from Jersey ramble on, thank you so much. I really deeply, deeply appreciate it. So, here's what I've been kind of thinking about a lot lately, right? In the past year, I have broken off quite a few relationships, quite a few friendships, quite a few connections that I had for years. And leaving behind all of the stuff that they gave to me as gifts during the friendship. So I looked around one day and I said, what am I going to do with this stuff? It's the physical reminders that we have of a relationship or a friendship that we have chosen to end. They are the remnants of the toxic relationships that we used to be in. What do I do with this stuff, right? With this physical reminder? And after talking to my therapist, talking to a couple of friends, I took the physical stuff, I put it in a trash bag, I grabbed a hammer, and I smashed it. And it was super, super cathartic. It really, really was. But it took me a little bit to get to the actual doing of the thing, right? Because whether you end a relationship because it's toxic and you know it's time and you have to, or, that person leaves you for whatever reason, the physical reminders are sometimes more painful than the emotional reminders, right? And it's going to take you a little while emotionally to process and grieve the relationship and move forward with life. And physically, for me at least, physically destroying the stuff is what helped me. Now, if you know me at all, you know how much of a hoarder I can actually be. It's very difficult for me to get rid of things. I have emotional attachments to things, everything. So, Sammy, why was it so easy for you to put these things in a bag and literally smash them with a hammer? Here's why. I'm glad you asked. Here's why. Because the relationships that they came out of were so toxic that, when they gave me these objects, they both said the same thing: I love you, right? And even one of them was engraved with the words, I love you. After I broke off the relationships because they were toxic relationships, because, after really looking at the relationships, I realized how narcissistic these people were. And here's a thing about me, okay? If I'm your friend, if I consider you a friend, if you consider me a friend, there is very, very little that I will not do for you. Very little. I've let friends stay in my home for extended periods of time while they figured stuff out. I have canceled plans with others to go be with friends that need me. I have left parking lots after getting phone calls saying, oh my God, I need you right now. as one of my love languages, if you tell me that you like something, I will buy that thing for you, or I will do that thing for you. I write plays for my friends. I write short stories for my friends. I make my friends scrapbooks. There's very little that I will not do for a friend. And as much as I like that about myself, because I know that if we're friends, I'm going to take care of you, I've come to this place now that I'm only going to do that if I know it will be reciprocated. And the relationships that I was in did not reciprocate that at all. Not even a little bit. Not even on the most basic of basic levels. So again, cut off the friendships. There was more reasons than just that, but at some level it was that. So I had these physical reminders with either the words physically engraved in it or in the back of my head from the day that these things were given to me, saying, with them saying, I love you. And after I cut off those relationships, after I cut those ties, those words from those specific people mean nothing. They mean nothing to me. And maybe that's a character flaw. Maybe that's something I have to work on with my therapist. But they mean nothing. They were words. Just like our entire relationship was just them saying words with nothing real, no action to back those words up. So, again, I took those things, put them in a garbage bag, and smashed them with a hammer. I actually filmed this. If you go to my TikTok, you can find it. And it was super cathartic. And I understand why rage rooms work now. I really, really do. And now I want to do a rage room in the worst way imaginable. And like, if you know me in real life, you would not even that would not even cross your mind that like I would want to go to a rage room, because I have a very even temper and I'm always smiling, and for the most part I'm happy. Not that I want to be very clear, like I fight my demons every single day in and day out. I fight my anxiety and my depression day in and day out, but I'm always able to, I don't wear that. I live life and I smile and I have fun and things like that. And if you're a friend of mine, you know this. So I think that people don't expect that if you give me a hammer and put me in a room of breakable objects, I am going to unleash a fury that would probably worry the villagers a little bit. Not gonna lie, would probably worry the villagers a little bit. There would probably be tears too, just a little bit of tears. But going back to my point, like, these objects that were attached to an I love you mean nothing to me. Those words mean nothing to me. And those people, while they did mean something to me at one point, no longer have any power in my world. So I had to get rid of them. Now, what I did was extreme. Not everybody is going to go out and safely burn things. They are not going to go out and smash things. Some people will take said objects and will put them in the back of the closet and they'll never look at them again. Some people will keep those objects and they will look at those objects every so often, and it will remind them of the hurt, or it will remind them of how far they have come since the hurt. These objects can also be a reminder of how far you've actually come since you were in that relationship. For me, I couldn't. I absolutely couldn't, especially because one of those objects was engraved with the words, I love you. And I remember looking at the object before I smashed it, and I went, no, you don't. Because if you did, your actions would match the words, which is something it took me a while to get to. Understand that this did not happen overnight. this took the past 3 years of the friends that I have now looking at me and going, "You're worth it." Or me going, "I'm having a problem," and getting a response back, "Give me 15 minutes, I'll be right home, and then we can talk about it." Or, you know, "Hey, I'm not doing well today. Do you want to talk about it?" You know, when the people in my life now say that they love me, they back it up with actions. And it took me a very long time to realize that the people that I had in my life did not really have those feelings for me. Whether they were physically incapable of having those feelings for another person, or whether they were just playing the long game, I'll never know. And frankly, I don't really care. The point is they're not in my life anymore, and the objects that they gave to me, the physical stuff, is no longer in my life. But I know people that, get out of relationships and put all this stuff that they got in the back of the closet. And one day they find it while they're cleaning. And I get a phone call saying, "Hey, I just threw out all this stuff." And I'm like, "That's awesome. I am so proud of you." Because they had to go through the grieving process before they were able to get rid of the stuff. And again, there are people that will keep the stuff to remind them of how far they've come. Of the relationships that I'm referring to, and again, you know that I will never give names or specific situations or anything like that to protect people. But two of the objects that I received from one of these people, I have kept. And I kept them because they were things that I genuinely wanted, that I never would have bought for myself, but they were given to me as gifts for birthday and Christmas. It's Beauty and the Beast stuff. And if you know me at all, you know how much I love this movie, how much this movie has impacted my life, how much it taught me about storytelling and kind of helped create the person I am today. So I have a very, very hard line attachment to this story and this movie. And so the person gave me a couple of things from Beauty and the Beast that I really wanted, that I would not have bought for myself or couldn't buy for myself. They purchased these things for me as gifts for birthday or Christmas or whatever it was. Those things I still have because those are things that I would have had anyway. And I'm able to compartmentalize and get rid of the emotion attached to the person that gave me the object and attach it to the object itself. Is that healthy? I don't know. Is that what my brain does? And it makes it easier for me to keep those two objects that came out of a toxic relationship. But the objects that I got rid of and physically smashed were objects that at the time they told me were given to me with so much love that looking at the objects, I could not detach that. So I had to get rid of them. And it was super cathartic and it was super awesome. But I also recognize that that's not for everybody. So I'm not saying, "Oh, you should go out and smash those pictures." If you don't want to, then don't. If you're the person that's going to put those objects in the back of your closet, go ahead. If you're the person that's going to just toss them in the garbage, go ahead. If you're the person that's going to safely burn the objects, then you go ahead. But again, I cannot overemphasize the word safely. It just depends on the relationship that you had, how it ended, how it makes you feel when you look at those objects, determines, I think, what you do with that stuff. And like I said, I'm probably a borderline hoarder. It takes a lot for me to get rid of stuff in any capacity. I have a problem getting rid of old t-shirts. I hang on to every picture I've ever taken or has ever been handed to me. My parents call me the family historian because I have every picture that has ever come into my house. You know, there are objects that I have been given by people that I've cut out of my life that I can't get rid of because these are things that I wanted already. And then they were just gifted to me by these people. So, again, it's not for everybody. It's not for every situation. Um, and, it kind of came, for me, it was because I was looking at these objects that had come from these people that had verbally told me how much they love me, but not ever shown me. It made it a lot easier for me to get rid of said objects because, as I said earlier, my friends and I now, we kind of live by the if they wanted to, they would kind of mentality. I now have friends all over the world, literally all over the world. There are huge time differences between me and some of my friends. 5, 6 hours time differences between me and some of my friends. And I have texted my friend more than once and gone, hey, I'm not okay right now. And, give me 15 minutes, or I'll be home tonight and we'll talk, or I will, talk to my friends that live here in the States and I'll go, hey, I'm not okay right now. Do you want to talk about it? Or like I have my first audition in 3 years, my first live audition in 3 years coming up tomorrow. And when I told my friends about it, they all had the same reaction. They were all so proud of me. They're all so supportive of me. They all can't wait to see if I get the part and then all the pictures and stuff that would come out of it. They're all genuinely excited for me. When I told my former group of people that I had an audition, or that I was going to, start auditioning for stuff again and, look to do all of this stuff again, I was met by very, very mixed reviews and very mixed support. There wasn't a whole lot of support there. And that also played into my decision to cut certain people off. If the people around you can't support you in what you're doing, as long as you're not looking to hurt yourself or anybody else, the people around you should support you in what you're doing. That's just what friends and family do, But I know that if I were to get the show, there are friends that I have that would come from like far out of state to come see it. If they wanted to, they would. There it is. One of my connections that I cut off this year, they had never seen me perform before, ever. They'd never come to a show. They came to one reading that I did. They were late and, had all these great ideas, but did not have any direction to actually point me in to execute these ideas. That's the difference, is that the group of people that I have now say, hey, we support you. We're going to, come see your show. And I know that they would. That's the difference, is that the ones that I had in my life would not do that because it just would not occur to them to do that, and whether that was because they were not in, they were not in the right space in their life to do that, or if they were just too absorbed with what it was they were doing. That's That's kind of none of my business. You know, if I'm a friend of yours, I am there for you literally no matter what. Literally no matter what. And I know that not everybody is built like that. And again, I was not, I never asked for the moon and stars from my friends because I know that people sometimes are not in the position to do that. But, you know, the people that I had in my life could not even do the barest of bare minimum sometimes. And that's why, circling back, we're going to circle the wagons back. That's why when I saw these specific items from these specific people, I had to physically get rid of them. Physically, I had to, because they were tied to such bad memories. And the words that they used when they gave them to me did not mean anything to me. And truthfully, I don't know if they meant anything to them when they said those things and provided me with those items, It's just something to think about. And, as I always say, the decisions that I make for myself are not one size fits all. If they don't fit for you, then, that's for you to decide, you know. And that's kind of where I am right now. And that's okay. Are my ways perfect? No. Is my thought process perfect? Absolutely not. And I'm working on that. Not that anybody's thought process should ever be perfect, but you know what I mean. But, and also, something else I wanted to add before I say goodbye is that if you take nothing out of this episode, take this. There is a big difference in people loving you and loving what you can do for them. Please learn the difference, because I was in relationships with people that that loved me for what I could do for them, not love me for me. There is a difference. And you will do yourself a service and a kindness to learn the difference and to start re-examining things. I invite you to re-examine things if things don't feel right, and then move forward accordingly. But anyway, guys, if you are enjoying the episode, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Find us on Instagram. Find me on Instagram. Find me on TikTok. And until next week, I hope that you all have an absolutely beautiful week. And I will talk to you all later.